everyone, welcome to our channel Knowledge Hub. Friends, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for the latest update. आज हम लोग क्लास करेंगे वो प्रिंसिपल ऑफ प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस की, जो कि क्लास आपका 9 है। ऑलरेडी हम 8 क्लास कर चुके हैं, जिसमें हमने जो डिस्कस किया है वो यूनिट 1 किया है, यूनिट 2 किया है एंड यूनिट 3 भी कंप्लीट कर लिया है। एंड यूनिट 4 हम ऑलरेडी स्टार्ट कर चुके हैं, दैट इज़ योर द अदर प्रोग्रामिंग पैराडिग्म, एंड होपफुली इन दिस क्लास we will be ending up with this, and this is your class 9 as I told you about it. The last class में जो हमने लास्ट टॉपिक डिस्कस किया था उसमें हम सेंटेंसेस से फर्स्ट एंड प्रेडिकेट लॉजिक, फर्स्ट ऑफ प्रेडिकेट लॉजिक हम कर रहे थे, फर्स्ट ऑफ प्रेडिकेट लॉजिक कन्वर्जन। उसके बाद हमने जो डिस्कस किया था लास्ट, वो हमने इन्फेरेंसेस डिस्कस किया था, जिसमें हमने वेरियस इन्फ्लुएंसिंग मेथड डिस्कस किए थे, जो कि मोडस पोनेंस थे, मोडस टोलेंस थे, and as well as forward chaining system as well as the backward chaining system as well. That what we had discussed here. Now we're going ahead with the discussion, and that what we have to discuss is your describe quantification with its type. Quantification with its types. So the types of quantification as well. So in the quantification, talking about this, that what we have to discuss here, and in the same case for the quantification and their types as well. So in this predicate with the variable is not a proposition. For example, like that the statement which where x is greater than 1 with the variable x over the universe of the real world is neither true and nor false, and since nothing known about x, for x is greater than 1, that to be a propositional, either we substitute a specific number for x or change it. So the quantification is to get the propositions from predicate, and a predicate with a variable that called an atomic formula that can be made the proposition by applying on the following two operations to each of its variable. The first is to assign a value to the variables, and the second is to quantify the variable using the quantifiers as well. And same talking about it, where the quantification is performed on a formulas of predicate logic, such as your x is greater than 1 or p of x, and by using the quantifiers on variable. There are the two types of the quantifiers. So the first type we have, which is your universal quantifier. In universal quantifier here, that is a statement where x is greater than 1 for every object x is in the universe, which is x is greater than 1, and here, and which is expressed in the form of x is greater than 1, and if it is true or false in the universe, the expressions that of px that denote the universal quantification of the atomic formula of px, and if all the elements in the atomic formula of px, that if all the elements in the universe of the discourse that can be listed, then the universe that the universal quantification that is equivalent to the conjunctions as well. And in the same cases, we can say that here that to be represented in the following way, which is your p x1, p x2, p x3, that is p x in here. So now we'll go ahead with the discussion, that is the second one, that is your extensional quantifier. Existential quantifier. In this, that the statement where x is greater than 1 and for some object x in the universe, and which is expressed as it is the proposition once to the universe in this specified, and that the expression that denote existential quantification of px as well. If all the elements in the universe of the discourse that can be listed, then the existential quantifiers equivalent to the disjunctions as well, and that has been represented in the form of just px1, px2, pxn, So here that is we had represented here. Now we'll go ahead to discuss about write down inferences rules of predicate logic here. So inferences rules of the predicate logic, we had discussed about the modus ponens and the unification, the resolution, where we'll have the categorization of the binary resolution and the unit resulting resolution as well. So that what we have to discuss here. So let's go ahead to discuss about it in a detail, which is your inference rule of predicate logic. So in the inferences rule of the predicate logic, that what we had talked about it, and that is your the first we have is your modus ponens. In modus ponens, if A has a property P and all the objects that have a property P and also have a property Q as well, that we include that A has a property of Q, and we are in the same cases we can say that here in the representation like PA, and that is your the another one is your X of PX that tends to QX. So here that will represent it as in the form of Q of A. So that is what comes under in the modus ponens. Now I'll talk about the second one, which is your unification. In the unification here, the first is your modus ponens and the second is your unification, where any substitution that makes two or more expressions equal is called a unifier, or the process that is known as unification. And by applying the substitution, we can make two expression equal, and that is termed as E dash equals to B. So in this, the third we have is your resolution. In the resolutions here that we'll talked about it, and in the same cases that if two clauses that is C1 and C2 with no variable in common, if there is a literal L1 in C1 which is a complement of the literal L2 in C2, and both L1 and L2 that are deleted and disjuncted C is formed from the remaining reduced classes. So we can write it down. For that we have here P Q Q P R upon P and R here. So that has been represented here as well, and in the same cases that is depending on the number and the types of the parent and the resolution that can be classified as. So in the resolution, the first part we have is here for the binary resolution. In binary resolution, that the two clauses that having a complementary literals and that are combined as a disjunct to produce a single clause after deleting the complementary literals as well. The second we have is your that is unit resulting, which is UR resolution. In the UR resolution, or that is unit resulting, which is a number of clauses are resolved simultaneously to produce a unit clause, and which is your married X comma Y, mother X comma Z, and that father that married. So in the same references we'll be talking about which are the substitutions with respect towards it, that we'll getting the unit clauses as well. So that will representing in here. I can give you an example with reference towards the unit that resulting here that we have here is to be as follows, which is married X comma Y, mother X comma Z, father Y comma Z, married, which is your Sui, Joy, and father, that is Joy and Bill. So where the substitution, if I'm talking about with the beta that has been shifted, and that is your Sui, X, yeah, Joy, Y, yeah, Bill, Z. That is used to getting the unit clause, and for that we'll be having mother, that is Sui, comma, Bill. Now we'll talk about the another one which we have to discuss about it in reference towards it, that is to define resolution and what is the basic of resolution. So resolution and the basics of resolution, that what we have to discuss here. Resolution and basic of resolution. So resolution and basic of resolution, that what we had talked about it in 1965, that Robinson introduced 1965. Robinson introduced the resolution principle which can be directly applied to any set of clauses, and the principle is that any two clauses A and B, if there is a literal P1 in A which has complementary literal P2 in B, that delete that P1 and P2 from A and B and construct adjunctions of the remaining clauses, and the clause so constructed it's called a resolvent of A and B. For example, for that we will be having for A, that is Q R, and for B, that is Q and R, and for of course the C, Q, R here. In the clauses A, that the literal P which is a complementary to not of P and B, and that is hence both of them are deleted and the resolvent is generated, so that the resolvent has again a literal Q whose negations is available in C, and hence resolving these two, one has the final resolvent. Now I'll talk about the basic of resolution here, that the resolution procedure is a simple iterative process at each step of which two clauses and the parent clauses is compared with the another clause, and that yield the new clauses, and the new clauses represents the way that the two parent clause interact with each other, where the resolution operate by taking the clauses that each contain the same literals, one in positive and one negative. The resolution cannot be used to generate all logical consequences of a set of sentences, and the relevant is obtained by combining all the literals of the two parents, that clauses, and except that ones that cancel, and if the resultant is empty, then the contradiction has been found as well. We are talking about this, that is the drawback of the resolution that are is to be follows. The first we have the resolution rule of inferences is only applicable with a sentence that are in the form of P1 and P2 and that is still Pn, where the P is that negated that unnegated predicate, negated or unnegated predicate, or to contain the function and that constants and universally quantified variables. So we can convert every FOL sentence into this form as well, and you have to know about it, how to pick which pair of the sentence to resolve, and how to pick which pair of literals one from each sentences to unify as well. Now we'll discuss about the another question, and that what we have to start with it, and that is to discuss the resolution in propositional logic and resolution in predicate logic. So that we'll discuss here in the detail. So we'll talk about it, that is resolution of propositional logic here. In resolution of propositional logic, if I'm talking about here, that is in a resolution of the propositional logic, that the procedure that the producing a proof by resolution of propositional S with respect to a set of an axioms F, following are the steps that to convert all the propositions of F to the class form. The second is to negate S and convert the result to class form to the set of the clauses obtained in the step 1, and that to repeat until either a contradiction is found or no progress that can be made as well, and that to select the clause and call these parent classes as well, and then after that you will have to resolve them together, and that resulting clause that called the resolvent will the disjunctions of all the literals of both the parent classes with the following exception as well. And if there are any pairs of literal L or not of L, that such that the negation of L, and that one of the parent class that contain L and the other not of L, that negation of L, that select such pairs, and that to eliminate both L and not negations of L for the resolvent as well. In the same cases, if the resolvent is the empty clause, then the contradiction has been found, and if it is not, then add it to the set of the clauses that is available to the procedure as well. And for example, that suppose we are given the axiom that is shown in the first column of that we'll discuss in the form of the table as well, and that we want to prove in R, and first we convert the axiom to the clause form, and has to be shown that the second column of that here as well. In the same cases, we'll be having a given axioms and the converted to class forms as well. Given axioms, and here that is converted to clause form. In the same cases here, that is the given axiom is P. If it is, then the converted to the clauses form, it will give same as P here. If it is P and this that tends to R, the negation of P, negation of Q and R, S V G, that gives Q, and that is negation of S and R, the negation of T, Q, and that is T, as well as this is also the tree here as well. Then we negate the R, producing negation of R, which is already in the class form, and then we begin selecting pairs of the clauses to resolve together. And although any pair of the clauses that can be resolved, only those pairs that contain complementary literals with produce of the resolvent that is likely to lead to the goal of the producing, and for that same case for the empty clause, and we might generate the sequence of the resolvent as well, even though beginning that the resolvent with the clause that is negation of R, that since that is one of the clauses that must be involved in the contradiction, we are trying to find it out. And for that, the resolution of propositional logic, if I'm talking about, if I'm termed about it, so we'll go get from here, that will be going ahead with the conversion, and then we'll find it out one by one as well. And now we'll talk about the resolution in a predicate logic. Resolution in predicate logic. So in resolution in predicate logic, if I'm talking about here, the first resolution that we have is to convert all the statement of F to class form, and that to negate S and convert the result to the class form as well. And then we'll have to add it to the set of the classes that is obtained in the step 1 as well. Now we'll talk about the another one, which is you have to repeat until either a contradiction is found and no progress that can be made, a predetermined amount of effort that has been expended, and you have to select the two classes and call these parent classes as well, where you have to resolve them together, and the resolvent that will be the disjunctions of all the literals of both of the parent classes with the appropriate substitution that is performed with the following exception. And if there is one pair of literals T1 and that is negation of T2, such that one of the parent clauses that contain the T1 and the other contain the T2, and if T1 and T2 are unfeasible, then neither T1 nor T2 that should be appeared in the resolvent as well. And if the resolvent is the empty clause, then the contradiction has been found, and if it is not, then add it to the set of the clause that is available to the procedure as well. Now will this here, so in the same cases here, that is for example for that the set of the sentences we have, like in the form of that Marcus was a man, and yes, the another is your Marcus was a Pompeian, and that the another one we have all Pompeians were Romans, and that Caesar was a ruler, and all Romans were either loyal to Caesar or hated him. and that is everyone is loyal to someone. And of course people only try to assassinate rulers they are not loyal to, and Marcus tried to assassinate Caesar. We must convert all these axioms in the classes form. So axioms in the classes form will go ahead and to convert all these as I told you about it, and as we had completed as well, and we had converted as well. So let's go ahead to solve it out each and every questions here. So the first we have is your Marcus was a man. Marcus was a man. So Marcus was a man here talking about it. So for that we will be having here that is your man Marcus. The second we have is your that is the Marcus was a Pompeian. So Marcus was a Pompeian. So for that we'll be having is in the form of which is your Pompeian. That is your Marcus. The third we have here is the question that is all Pompeians were Roman. So in the same case here that is we'll be having not Pompeian, x1 Roman, x1 as well. The next we have the fourth one that would represented here, and in the same case is the third one we have. So the next we have is your that is in the same case is your the fourth one, which is Caesar was a ruler. And Caesar was a ruler here that we'll talked about it. So in the Caesar was ruler, so that will be starts as ruler and Caesar. The next we have the fifth one which we'll have to talk it about, and that is your the another one which is all Romans were either loyal to Caesar or hated him. So for that all Romans were either loyal to Caesar or hated him. In this for that we will be having that is Roman x2 loyal to x2 comma Caesar hate x2 Caesar. The another one we have here, and which is in the same case the sixth one, which is everyone is loyal to someone. Everyone is loyal to someone. In everyone is loyal to someone, we'll talk about it, which is here is loyal to x3 f x3 here. The another one we have is here the seventh one, which is people only try to assassinate rulers they are not loyal to. For that the seventh we have here, which is man, so ruler by one try assassinate x4 by 1 loyal to x4 by 1. Now I'll talk about the another one, which is the eighth one here, and which is your Marcus tried to assassinate Caesar. In this, which is your try assassinate Marcus Caesar. So that is represented here as well. So in the same cases, if I'm talking about moreover related to this, and that is what we have to discuss, even though that is the another question that we have to convert and consider the following sentences. We have to consider these following sentences, and then we have to convert it in each form. And first we have to convert it into FOPL, which is your the FOPL form, and then we'll have to conversion in the clausal form as well. So in these sentences, this is into first we'll convert into first order predicate logic, and then we have to convert these into the clausal form. So we'll go ahead and we'll just write it on with FOPL with the same sentence for that, and the clausal form with the same sentences for that as well. So here we'll go ahead. The first question we have is John likes all kind of food. So in the reference towards this, first we'll convert it in FOPL. In FOPL here, the other sentences we have is your X food, X that tends to likes John, comma X here. And if we'll convert it as into in a clausal form, so that is your food X likes John X. Now we'll convert the second one, which we have is your the another question where apples are food. So in apples are food, first we'll convert in FOPL, that is your food in bracket apples. And if I'm converting with the clausal form, so for that we'll have the same, which is your food and in bracket which is apples, for both in the clausal form as well as in FOPL. For the third question we have here, in reference towards this, chicken is food. In the chicken is food, we'll convert in FOPL. So in chicken is food, that is also as a food, and inside that is your chicken. And for the clausal form, if I'm talking about, so in that same case we'll be having same as apple, that is your food in bracket chicken. The another sentence we have is your fourth sentences, and that is your Ram likes everything John likes. Ram likes everything John likes. FOPL. So for that case here is your that what we have to solve it out as in the form X like John, comma X like Ram X, and in of course the clausal form, that is like John, comma X like Ram X. So this is how you can convert it into FOPL and as well as in the clausal form. Now we'll go ahead to discuss about some of the related questions that to convert the following sentences into a predicate logic and then in the clausal form. So for that we have to convert into the predicate logic, and then we'll have to convert the same sentences into the clausal form. And so let's go ahead to do that as well. And that another question will continue here only. The fourth one, and then the fifth one we have is your, that is, Marcus was a man. In the Marcus was a man, first we'll have to convert into a predicate logic form. So predicate logic form will convert it into, and that we have is your man Marcus. And in that same cases with the clausal form, and that is comes under man Marcus. The second we have sentences is just Caesar was a ruler. This is your sixth one. So for that we have a predicate logic, and then of course we have here is your that is a clausal form. In the predicate logic here, that is ruler and Caesar, and for that in the clausal form we have ruler Caesar. And then another question we have here is here the seventh one, which is everyone is loyal to someone. Everyone is loyal to someone. In the same cases, everyone is loyal to someone here, and in the same cases we'll be having an that is your predicate logic form. So for that we have here is y, that is loyal to, and that comes under in it, that is x comma y. And for that same sentences would be in the form of that is your clausal form. So the clausal form I'll be writing here only, and then we'll go ahead with another question, and that is your loyal to, that is x1 comma f of x2. Now we'll go ahead with the next question, and that we have the other question is we have as your, that is Marcus tried to assassinate Caesar. Marcus tried to assassinate Caesar. So in this, Marcus tried to assassinate in Caesar, that is the predicate logic if I'm talking about here. So that is in predicate logic, and we'll have to convert it into the clausal form as well. So in the predicate logic, that is your try assassinate, that is your Marcus Caesar. Then in the clausal form we'll have try assassinate Marcus Caesar. Now we'll go ahead to represent another question, and that what we have to represent the following sentences in the symbolic logic. So in the symbolic logic, the first sentences we have here, and that has been represented as well, and which is here the first question is all students like good teachers. All students like good teacher. And all students like good teacher here, which is represented in the form of symbolic one. So the symbolic representation, that is symbolic logic. In the same cases we have x student x likes x comma teacher. Now for the another question here, that what we have to discuss as well, and that is in the same cases, and that is your the second one, which is your all that glitters is not gold. all that glitters is not gold. In the same case, for all that glitters is not gold. And here for the second one we'll be having for the symbolic logic. So in this we have x glitter, x tends to not of gold, and y. The other we have is your that is the other question. The fruits and vegetables are delicious. Fruits and vegetables are delicious. In the same cases here that we have is your delicious fruit comma x, delicious vegetable comma y. Now the fourth one we'll talk about it, and that is the fourth sentences we have, which is your God helps those who help themselves. God help those who help themselves. So in the God who help those who help themselves here, we'll be going ahead with the symbolic here, and that is we will be going to do that, and that is represented here as well. X person, x, and that is help, which is your x comma x tends to help God x. So that is God help those who help themselves here. So the another question we will be having here, that is the Jack and Jill went up the hill. Jack and Jill went up the hill. So in this we will be having here that is your went Jack hill, went Jill hill. Okay, so that has been represented in the form of the symbolic logic here. Now we'll go ahead with the discussion, and that we have to discuss about it. And in the same cases that we have for the set that has been represented here, which is for a set that is S equals to P Q, not of Q, R, P, Q, and not of R as well, negations of R. So here for the first one to have to derive an empty class from S by the resolution, and the empty class for the resolutions we have, we can say that I will do it here in the form of sideway, which is your negation of PQR. This is negation of Q R, and that is your Q, which comes from Q and Q, and that comes here R, and that is your with R, which is your empty set. Now with the second one we have show that we have to convert them to the classical form, and the first we have here, first we'll representing the show that, and then we'll representing that another one, and that is the equation we have here, x that is of p of x tends to q of z. So here in the same cases we'll be having x that is of p of x, which tends to q of z, and that is your and we can say that x, and that is of x P of X that tends to Q of Z here, that are equivalent as well. Now then, first we'll have to convert it, so we'll go ahead with a further one, which is E of X. P of X tends to Q of Z, and that is Z not of P of X, Q of Z, then not of P of X, Q of Z here. Now we'll go ahead with another one, which is another one is to represent it here. X here, and that is of P of X tends to Q of Z, that are equivalent, and for that we have P of X. P of X tends to Q of Z, and that tends to X and P of X, Q of Z as well, and that tells to P of X, Q, V, and then we have Z here. So both 1 and 2 that are equivalent in the clausural forms, and they are equivalent as well. Now we'll go ahead to discuss about more in the detail about it, and that is the another question. But before starting with this, we'll have to know about it, some of the things related to it, which is we'll discuss about the concurrent programming, and that you have to know that the concurrent programming involves the programming with more than one process, and concurrent programming languages that provide the notation for multiple processes. And the World Wide Web is an incredible source of information from where who users that can read and write while connected to our internet as well. And in the same case, the HTML is the syntax that use format a text document in the web, that what we'll discuss here as well. So first we'll start with concurrent programming. In the terms of the concurrent programming, that the concurrent programming is characterized by the programming with more than one process, and at the machine level that the operations are sequential, and if they occur one or the after the other, and that the order in the time, the operations are concurrent, and if they overlap in time, the sequential operations are connected by a single thread of control, while the concurrent operations have a multiple thread of control operation as well. Where concurrent programming involves that the notations for expressing the potential parallelism, so that the operations may be executed in a parallel, and the technique for solving the resulting synchronization, and of course the communication problem. The two fundamental concepts in concurrent programming are the processes and the resources, and a process that corresponds to a sequential computation with its own thread of control, where the process may share resources, and shared resources include the program resources like data structures, and the hardware resources like CPU, memory, and input-output devices as well. We'll talk about some of the things related to that, that is what is deadlock and what are the necessary conditions for a deadlock. So first we'll discuss about deadlock. In the term of the deadlock here, that a set of a process is in the deadlock state if each process in the set is waiting for an event that can be caused by any other process in it, and in the other words, each member of the set of the deadlock process is waiting for a resource that can be released only by deadlock process, and none of the process that can run, none of them that can release any resources, and none of them that can as well. That the simplest example of the deadlock is where one processor one that has been allocated non-shareable resources A, and that's say a tape drive, and a process 2 has been located for a non-shareable resources B, say a printer. Like now if it is it turns out to the process 1 that needs resource B, printer, to proceed, and process 2 needs the resource A, the tape drive, then the process that these are only the two processes in the system, each is blocked, and the other, and all useful work in the system stops. So this situation is termed as a deadlock. and that is that the system is a deadlock state because each process holds a resource being requested by the other process. Neither a process is willing to release the resources it holds as well. As you can see here in the form of that what it stands for. So this is your A, this is P1 process, this is P2 process, and of course this is P1 as well as this is also P1, this is a P1. So it will request to this will request to this will request to this, and this will request to this. So all are requesting to one another, so that their resources that he holds here and for that process has been not fully completed. The necessary conditions for deadlock we'll talk about. Necessary conditions for deadlock. In the necessary conditions for the deadlock, we'll talk about it, which is we have a four necessary condition for the deadlock. The first we have is your mutual exclusion, the second is your hold and wait, the third is no preemption, and the fourth is the circular wait. We'll talk about in each everything that is in the detail. So the first we'll have is your, which is the mutual exclusion. In the term of mutual exclusion here, when a resource is held by a process as non-shareable and exclusive mode, and the other process will have to wait for the resource that to be released as well. The second we have here is your, that is hold and wait. In hold and wait, there a process must be holding at least one resource and waiting for one or more resources that held by the other process as well. The third we have is your no preemption. In no preemption, the other resource once granted that cannot be forcibly taken away, and the holding process must voluntarily release the resources as well. The fourth we have is your circular wait. In circular wait, there must be a circular chain at least two process, and which where each process is waiting for the resource and held by the next number of the circular chain as well. So that comes under it. And the necessary conditions for the deadlock we have above, which is mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemptions, and circular wait. Now we'll discuss about the another thing, which is the another important question: what do you understand by a PostScript language? In the PostScript languages here, PostScript language is a computer language for creating a vector graphics, and it is a dynamically typed concatenative programming language and used as a page description language in the electronic and a desktop publishing area. It is a language of choice for graphical output for printing the application on a high-end printer, and PostScript processors that remains here and in that same remain common, and their uses of the dramatically reduce the CPU work involved in a printing document, transferring the work of the rendering PostScript images from the computer to the printer. And it is an interpreted stack based languages similar to the fourth part with a strong dynamic typing. Data structures inspired by those in the libs. The language syntax that uses the reverse Polish notation, which makes the order of the operation unambiguous, and the character that the percent that is used to introduce the comments to the PostScript program, and that is every PostScript program that should start with the character with a character percent here, that is a PS as an interpreter directive, and that all devices is, properly interpret it as a PostScript as well. Now we'll talk about the another one which we have to talk it out, and that is the another question, which is what is World Wide Web? World Wide Web, which is your www. In a World Wide Web here, that is www, the term the World Wide Web abbreviated as www and a W3 and commonly known as a web and refer to an all publicly accessible website in the world. In addition to other information source that the web browser that can access, and even though with a web browser we can view a web page that may contain text, image, video and the other multimedia, and the navigate between them upper, that is you're using hyperlinks as well. The World Wide Web W3 was developed to a pool of the human knowledge which would allow collaborators in a remote site to share their ideas and all aspects of the common project. Viewing of a web page of on a www that begins either by typing the URL of the page into a web browser or by following a hyperlink to that page or resource as well. The web browser is a piece of software that communication with the web server via the HTTP protocol that translate the HTML pages and the images data into a nicely formatted on a screen display. The most common web browser in a Microsoft Internet Explorer, followed by the open source Firefox browser, where Google Chrome and the Apple Safari browser as well. The World Wide Web is a global information medium which uses that users that can read and write via computer connected into the internet, and the term is often mistakenly used as a synonym for the internet itself as well. But the web is services that operates over the internet and as email does, and that the history of the internet, that the data back significantly further than that of the World Wide Web as well. In the same references, what is internet if I'm talking about here, that is in the terms of the internet, where the internet is a global system of interconnected computer network that uses the standard internet protocol suite, which is your TCP/IP, to serve the billions of users worldwide, and it is a network of networks that consists of millions of private and public, academic, business and a government network of the local to global scope that are linked by a broad array of electronic, wireless and an optical networking technologies. The internet carries a vast array of information resources and services, and most notably that the interlinked hypertext document of the World Wide Web, which is www, and the infrastructure to support the electronic mail as well. In the same case, that most traditionally that the communication media such as telephone and television services are reshaped or redefined using the technologies of the internet, giving the rise to the services such as voice over internet protocol, which is VoIP, and IPTV as well, the newspaper, book and the other print publishing, and has been reshaped into website, blogging and web feeds, and the internet has enabled and accelerated the creations of the new forms of the human interactions through the instant message, internet forums, and the social networking sites as well. In the same cases, we'll talk about the detail of HTML and the structures of HTML here. In the term of HTML here, that we'll talk about it. So here in the same cases, we'll talk about it in the HTML, where that the Tim Berners-Lee, if I'm talking about here for the HTML, so the Tim Berners-Lee. In the Tim Berners-Lee, that was proposed HTML at the European Laboratory for the Particle Physics, which is your CERN, and in 1989, and he was looking for a way to manage and share the large amount of information among colleagues. He proposed a web of document connected by hyperlinks and hosted by the computer that called hyperlink server. He created an application of the standard generalized markup language, which is HTML, and a standard version of specifying a document structure, and call it a hyperlink markup language, which is HTML as well. The web pages are developed using the HTML. HTML language is interpreted by a browser. Web pages are called HTML document, and HTML is a set of a special code that can embed it in text to add formatting and linking information as well. Talking about the HTML tags here, that is the HTML tags that is specified as a tag in an HTML, and that is your the HTML document, which we can see that here. And in the same cases, that is the web page as well, where the HTML that the tags are the instructions that are enabled embedded directly into the text of the document, and an HTML is a signal to browser that you should do something or other than just through the text up on the screen. And HTML tags are of the following two types, and the first we have here is your that is your paired tags. In the paired tags here, that the pair tags is the combination of the two tag, which is your opening tag and the closing tag, that the opening tag and the effect of the closing tag that turns effect off. For example, like in the term of a pair, that is pair tag, which is your like the same as HTML, and closing tag of HTML. Now the second we have is in the same cases for the HTML, the structure of HTML as well, and the second we have is your that is singular tag. In singular tag here itself, that is the singular tag is a standalone tag, and it does not have a closing tag. For example, which is BR, and that tag that used for the single break line, and generally it caps at the end of the each line here, that is in the form of BR. This is a singular tag here. Now we will be discussing about the structure of HTML program, and that what we have to discuss here in the detail as well. So the structures of HTML tag is to be as follows here. So we'll talk about the structures of HTML program. So structures of HTML program here, that is the every HTML program that has a rigid structure. The entire web page is enclosed with an HTML the opening tag and a HTML close tag, and the web page that is enclosed by the HTML tag, and of course the closing tag as I told you about it. And within these tags, the two distinct sections are created using that head section with the closing and a opening tag, and the body with the closing and opening tag as well, and that has been created here. An HTML document is divided into two parts, which is the first we have is the document head, the second we have is the document body. So the other two here, and in the document head, that the HTML tag is used for the identification of heading or title of HTML document, and all the information that is placed within the head and that is tag is not displayed in browser. And the HTML tag is used to indicate the start and the end of the header sections are with the reference towards the head, then it conclude of title, and then of course the head as well, where the in head section that conclude the title here. In the document body, which is this is the tag is used for indicating the actual content of the HTML document, and the tag used to indicate that the start of the end of the main memory of the textual information, which is comes under the body section, with the attribute that the body tag that takes is beige color, that is your background text, etc. And the document body gives the descriptions of HTML documents layout and structure as well. We'll talk about in more detail about it, which is your what is CGI, and explain how CGI works. That is your CGI and how CGI work. So in the CGI and CGI works here in the terms of it, we'll go ahead here in the detail as well. In the CGI is a acronym for the Common Gateway Interface. Common Gateway Interface. So in a common gateway interface, that which is a standard protocol for running program within a web server, the CGI protocol allows the external program, those you developed to interface the program, such as database management software, and to access the networking facility that is provided by the HTTP server software, and the HTML document that are generally static once created, and they do not change while displayed on the browser. The CGI program that are dynamic, the state of their variables alter as they execute. Where CGI allow a www server to provide information to www client that would otherwise not be available to those clients. For example, that allow a www client here in the same case that allow the www client to issue a query database here and receive an appropriate response in the form of the custom built web document. And some common uses of CGI that include: the first is to gathering the user feedback about a product line through an HTML form and querying a database and rendering the result as an HTML document as well. We'll talk about some of the things in the detail as well, which is in the terms of semantics. In the terms of semantics, before going in a detail, that the semantics of the construct that can be of any quantity or the set of the quantities that is associated with the construct as well, and attribute grammar that are geared to the static semantic, and the natural semantics associated logical rules with the syntax of the language as well, where the denotational semantics synthesizes the meaning of the construct as well. We'll go ahead with the detail and we'll discuss about the semantic rules. In the terms of the semantics rules, that along with the approaches that used in, and that any property of the construct that can be defined to be its semantic or a meaning here, that the syntax for the semantic method that is given to be as follows here, which is E equals to let x equals to E1 in E2. So in this, that the various approaches for defining the semantics are: the first approach is that is the synthesize the attribute built up the meaning of the construct from its component, and they are used extensively in the compiler and the programming environment. They work well and with the programmer and concrete the syntax complete with the procedures that the precedence rules for the operator as well. In the same references, that the attribute grammar that are generalizations of the synthesized attribute, and they allow the meaning at the node in the parse tree to depend not only in the subtree but on information from the rest of the tree as well. Same where that the natural semantics is a logical notation. It is a typically based on an abstract syntax, so the key semantic properties that can be compactly summarized and highlighted. And denotational semantics provided a firm mathematical foundation, and in the denotational approach that constructs in a language that denote or represent the meaning, which are usually function as well. We'll talk about in a detail with another one, which is the attribute grammar. In the attribute grammar are generalization of synthesized attribute, and they allow the meaning of the construct to depend on the surrounding context by allowing the attribute value to flow up and down a parse tree, and the meaning at the node in a parse tree that can depend not only on its subtree but on information from the rest of the tree as well. In the same cases, the attribute grammar that are used follows to define the meaning of the construct. The first we have is the attributes, and the second we have is the semantic rules. So the first we have is your attributes. So in the attributes here, that attach attribute to grammar symbol for each attribute that designate whether it is synthesized or inherited. The second we have is the semantic rules. In semantic rules here, that attach semantic rules to production, and if the non-terminal n appears on the left side of the production, then attach semantic rule defining the synthesized attribute of n, and if a non-terminal a appears on right side of the production, then attach semantic rules defining the inherited attribute of the a as well. We'll go ahead with another one which we have to discuss about it, which is describe how natural semantic associate logical rules with language. Natural semantic that associates logical rules with language. So in the same cases here, the logical rules that are associated with the syntax of the language that are using the natural semantics, and the logical rules that can be used to deduce the meaning of the construct, and it cites steps that the issues of parsing and evaluation order. So it also allows the semantics of the languages that to be captured in a small set of rules, and the natural semantics that can be thought of and associating and synthesize the attribute with the construct in the language, and the system that is the synthesize. In the same cases, we can say that where it allows that the semantics of the language that to be captured in the small set of rules, and the natural semantics that can be thought of in associating a synthesized attribute with a construct in the language, and the syntax noun value that is used for the numbers where the noun is a token and a value is an associated value as well. In the reference towards the expressions that have the form here, which we have been represented here in the form which is to be known as in the form of noun value, that is your 1 plus e1 e2, and of course in the same cases it is 1 times e1 and e2 here. So the value of the plus e1 and e2 is the sum of the values of e1 and e2, and this rule that can be evaluated has here, where in the same cases that has been represented as I told you, that is e1 v1 e2 v2 upon plus e1 e2 v1 plus v2. So where if e1 has a value of v1 and e2 and has a value of v2 as well, then plus e1 and e2 has the value of v1 plus v2 to the left of the column of in the formula, and that is v has is an expression of v as well, and its value v appears in the right of the column, and that is in the formula like plus e1 e2 and v1 v2. So that the expression of e1 and that belongs to the defined languages v1 plus v2 that belong to the defining languages as well. Now we'll talk about the another one, and that is the last topic of this unit of unit 4, which is the other programming paradigm, and that is what do you understand by denotational semantics. In the denotational semantics, if I'm talking about here, that is in the denotational approach that constructs in the language that denote or represent the meaning, which are usually a functions, that the meaning of an expression a plus b, that will be a function from the environment to values as well. A denotational semantics is of in two parts as well. That is, the first is that the domains are the like types, and they identify the syntactic and semantic objects relevant to a language, and the second is that the semantic rules that synthesizes the meaning of to construct in the terms of that of the its component as well. The meaning of an expression a that is written as a is a function from the environment to the values, and the value of e with environment that is to be given as with this notation, the value of the variable x with environment that we have. So it is interpreted as when the meaning of an x as an expression is applied to environment, and we get the values look up here, that in the rule for the let expression, the environment is used for e1 and modified environment is used for e2 as well. That the value of the let expression, that is the value of the sub expression e2, is in the environment with x bound to the e1, and that the value of e1 as well. So first of all, we'll end up here as well. So first of all, it's a huge request from my side to all the viewers, please go through with the subscribe button, and please like, share and subscribe our channel, so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. And talking about PPL, that is the principle of programming languages, we had to cover up the unit 1, which is your introduction, the role of the programming languages, why study programming languages towards the higher level language, programming paradigm, programming environment, language description, that is your syntactic structure, language translation, issues, programming languages, syntax and stages in the translation, formal translation models as well. In unit 2, this is your language properties, which we had discussed about language properties, modeling language properties, elementary data types, encapsulation, inheritance, sequence control, and subprogram control as well. In unit 3, which we had covered up about programming paradigm, and that is programming paradigm, imperative programming, statements, type, procedure, activation, object oriented programming, which is the grouping of data, and operation object oriented programming, functional programming, and as well as the elements programming in a type language programming with the list as well. Even though in unit 4 we had covered up this in this class, that is the other programming paradigm, where we had to discuss about other programming paradigm like logic programming, concurrent programming, network programming, language description, and as well as the semantic method, which we had covered up here. The next unit will start with lambda calculus, which is the last unit of principle of programming languages, which is we have your lambda calculus, where we have to discuss about introduction to lambda calculus, simple types and subtyping as well. So here it's a huge request from my side to all the viewers, please go through with the subscribe button, and please like, share and subscribe our channel, so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. In reference towards the principle of programming languages, simultaneously we are doing the data warehouse and the data mining. We are doing the computer graphics as well as the DBMS and the database management system, as well as managerial economics. Reasoning we are doing, where we had covered up the non-verbal reasoning, we had started with non-verbal reasoning, and the verbal reasoning we had completed here, and that is we are going to start with the quantitative reasoning as well, that the quantitative aptitude, that what we have to cover up, which has been asked in the competition paper as well. So stay tuned with us, and please like, share and subscribe our channel, so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. Thank you, hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and give a suggestion on a comment box. Thank you.